start.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Diana Heyman Brittman. I'm the head of audit and compliance. Our topic for this afternoon is pension fraud. Please share the link, interact, send your comments, and we are available on our link tree on WhatsApp, CRM, Twitter, and the rest. If you missed the live program, please send your comments on our link tree. Please invite your friends as well. Our presentation will look at our definition for pension fraud, the type of fraud, how fraud occurs, effects of pension fraud, preventions and control measures, and then we'll have some key takeaways. The essence of this presentation is to create awareness of pension fraud to members of Jesus, and then discuss some control measures to mitigate fraud in the pension industry. Fraud is wrong deception intended to result in financial or personal gains by the fraudster. Fraud also involves misrepresentation of facts with the essence of deceit, and then illegally or unethically obtain gains at the expense of others. Fraud is an offense that may be punishable by law if the facts are determined. What is pension fraud? Pension fraud occurs when fraudsters identify and target pension scheme members, retirees, beneficiaries of a pension fund. They persuade them to transfer all their pension savings or part of their savings by making false promises or attractive offers. For example, they'll be selling annuities or monthly pensions to retirees. The fraudsters might also persuade their victims to make payment or transfer money to non-existent accounts, and most often these accounts are created purposely to defraud their victims, or they ask their victims to transfer Momo, as we call it here, to a particular account, and then they ask you to also make your retirement benefit or transfer your retirement benefit to a particular account, and the purpose is to defraud you. Fraud occurs in the following areas: where a member or a retiree will make false claims, that is falsification of documents, or a beneficiary also falsifies documents. Claimants sometimes make changes to biodata unreasonably. For instance, a person might change his or her age, employment details, as well as the date of birth. And the essence is to stay longer at work and obtain higher benefits. There is also misrepresentation or identity fraud, whereby the right person will not be involved, but the fraudster will be making claims on behalf of a legitimate pensioner. A beneficiary is sometimes contacted over the phone or through WhatsApp or text messages just to obtain biodata to facilitate claims fraudulently. Personal IDs such as your scheme number, your SNIT number, or sometimes your Ghana card will be obtained from you fraudulently to perpetrate fraud. The fraudster might sometimes persuade a beneficiary to part with some amount of money, either physically or electronically, to just get services which might not necessarily exist, or open an account just to transfer funds for the purposes of the fraud. There are so many types of fraud, but our discussion this afternoon will be mainly on identity fraud and cyber fraud. Identity fraud can be any of the following: 1. criminals will hide their identity, and they will do that in the name of other persons such as politicians or people with higher social status. We also have financial identity fraud, where criminals will have access to your financial data and manipulate the data to their own benefit. For instance, your password or your ATM pins. We also have medical identity fraud, where the fraudster or the criminals will use your personal ID to access health benefits. For instance, the Sweden Medical Center that is established for members of NAT. The fraudsters, anytime they have access to your personal ID or your bank information and then your staff ID, they will use that to perpetrate fraud. So they present themselves as the original benefactor. We have high-tech fraud, that is using technology, telnet or malwares to direct your emails or asking for funds that will not be returned to you. We have minor identity fraud. That is stealing children's information to obtain benefits. For instance, illegitimate beneficiary claims. That is, your minors or your direct beneficiaries will not have the benefit. So it is very important that you complete your beneficiary information on the portal. Now we have cyber fraud or online fraud. A person may be vulnerable to cyber fraud as a result of the following: by patronizing in unregulated or unrecognized online digital products. For instance, quick loans. People advertise quick loans online, and anytime you participate in that, you leak your information to them, and they may also leak your information to third parties, and they will use that to perpetrate fraud, especially if you're a government worker, because you have all your staff IDs, you have your state references, and they'll obtain that to perpetrate fraud. Secondly, they can use fake websites by giving you personal details. For instance, free money to workers. So when you participate in such fake websites, then you'll be vulnerable. In other instances, you may be tempted to use other people's computers or smartphones or devices to send official documents with your details, but sometimes you forget to delete such information from the other person's computers or smartphones. In this case, you become vulnerable because they might use your identity to commit fraud. The other point is when you ask trusted friends or individuals to assist you to log on to a network or site without logging out completely. At times you are tempted to check on remember my password. So you leave your password on the person's computer. Or at times you sign on keep my ID or keep my password, and you don't go back to that particular computer, so you leave your information there. So the person will have access to your statements, your balances, your IDs, and the rest. So it's important that you log off anytime you use somebody else's computers. There are common ID fraud. One is phishing. Phishing. The spelling is Phishing. Phishing. That is where emails or text messages which are purportedly coming from credible financial institutions or individuals are given to you as an individual or a pensioner, and you become vulnerable when you respond to such emails. For instance, when you log on to an email which does not come from the legitimate source. The second one is farming. Farming. The spelling is Pharming. Pharming. And farming is genetically modifying an email address, or they mimic a legitimate email address. For instance, we all know that the spelling of bank in English is BANK, but the fraudsters will spell it as BANC. So if you don't pay attention to details, you just fall a victim into such activities. The third one is imposters. A person may pretend to be a help desk officer, a staff from the controller and accountant general, or even a staff from the MPRA. They'll call you and they ask you to send your details to them. Please, if you are not comfortable with it, call our office, either the GSOP's office or the Glyco office, and check before you log into certain areas. Now we have fake online profiles. Other persons will provide their profiles as people that we know. For instance, either a celebrity, a star, or a CEO of an organization. And anytime they ask you to provide your credentials, they will use that against you in the future, and especially your pension funds. So what will be the effect of pension fraud? Please share the link. We want it to be very interactive. Share this. You can find us on our emails, our IDs, Twitter, and others. So please share the link. So what will be the effects of pension fraud? It results in general economic hardship on pensioners, because if somebody has worked all over his years for about 20, 30 to 40 years, and whatever they have saved as pensions is being taken away by a fraudster, it brings about hardship on the person. This might even result in the mental well-being of the person, and some people already have medical conditions, and it's going to worsen their conditions. Another effect is that it doesn't make pensions attractive to young employees, because if a young person starts working and has the feeling or the perception that even what I save will be taken away by fraudsters, then does not encourage savings at all. There's also another risk of high dependency ratio. That is, the young ones will be working to take care of the elderly. So you have a lot of pensioners depending on relatives or philanthropists just to make a living. Another effect is that it brings about poverty recycling, or there will be no improvement in livelihood, and that results in widening the poverty gap. So effects of pension fraud is very, very high. Now, how do we prevent and control? Please don't sign on to any unregulated networks or offers. Please, if the offer is too good to be true, do not sign on to it. Avoid giving your personal details to untrusted institutions or individuals. For instance, quick loans or annuities or future savings for pensions that are run by unregulated institutions. Please ensure that you completely sign off anytime you visit a known or usual site. For instance, when you check on your Yahoo mails and other mails, please make sure that you sign off completely. Avoid or limit the use of public internet or free websites where you may check your statement. So please, sometimes the websites are not secure for you to leave your information with them. Avoid persons who request for your details to fast track your pensions. Please keep your IDs safe. Don't pay fees or money to anyone that demands payment before processing either your contributions or benefits. Such services are free. In case of any delays on your pension contributions or claims, please don't hesitate to call the Secretariat or the GSOP's or the Glyco offices. Call the GSOP's office in case of any assistance if you are in doubt of anything concerning your pensions. To register and check your personal statements, please log on to www.gespensions.com.gh or dial *365*65#. Kindly report suspicious cases of fraud to the GSOP Secretariat and then other Glyco offices. Please share the link, keep track of this presentation on our other network, please, if you miss the live program, you can always check later. Now we have a few takeaways. Do not patronize in unregulated or unrecognized products or websites. For instance, companies selling annuities or savings. Please make sure that you have information about the directors or the organization, and make sure they are registered by either SEC or the NPRA. And in case of any financial advice, you can look for the professionals to give you financial advice on your pensions and savings. Remember to keep your personal IDs and biodata confidentially. Your staff ID, your SNIT number, your Ghana card, and your passwords. Please share the link. We want to see your comments and we're going to address them appropriately. Remember to log out completely anytime you visit a known or usual site. For instance, if you register on the portal and you're logging out, please log out completely. Your emails, make sure you log out completely. Please call the officials of Jesus or Glyco for assistance. No individual from Glyco or Jesus is mandated to receive payment in order to fast track your claims or transactions. The services are free. Remember to log on to www.gespensions.com.gh or dial *365*65# for more details on your pension. Please report suspected fraud to the GSOP's offices. We are waiting for your comments and your interactions as well. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you.
For enquiries, reach us on 059 692 1135 or visit our website at www.gespensions.com.gh.